Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode on the podcast today. Today is going to be a really awesome one because today's topic is going to be about disability sport. And I don't often say on the podcast that I love sport myself. I love football. I really like sport myself, and I love every kind of sport. But today's episode is going to be about Stacey's story, about Stacey's kind of personal journey within sport, and it's going to be really cool because we kind of linked up from a mutual friend of ours, Chris, um, from I did a meeting around sport, and it was really good. And then it's going to be really cool today because it's different time zones today. So of course I'm from the UK, but Stacey is from New Zealand. Actually, the first guest ever to be on the podcast from New Zealand. So it could be really
Ooh.
cool. So Stacey, would you mind introducing yourself a little bit?
Yeah, cool. It's good to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I guess, it's I've been in the disability world all my life. Obviously, by my voice, you can figure out I have an impairment called cerebral palsy. So I was born like this, and when I was born, the doctor said to mum and dad that I wouldn't walk or talk or have any intelligence whatsoever. So they suggested that my parents put me in an institution and just walk away, get on with their life. So thank God my parents did the middle finger to those doctors and took me home, and I was treated just like my brother and sister, and therefore grew up with ambitions and goals, and I think I've done pretty well in that regard.
Yeah, it sounds like you've done really well. Because I think often the barriers, like in life, there's barriers, isn't there? Where like 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 you said that you're told that you can like walk and speak, but I think you've done really well. Like with your journey, it's gonna be really good to hear more about like your whole experience about being like a Paralympic athlete as well, which I think is really awesome. To like, would you like to go into more depth about like that, Stacey, about like being a Paralympic athlete?
Yeah, cool. Like I said, my parents were very very it was very important to them to treat me just like my older brother and sister. So therefore, I had pretty run of the mill experiences at school, just like everyone else. Although I did get sick of being last at everything in sport, so that sort of led me on to looking for an outlet to get my competition fix. I'm a very competitive person. Just like my dad, he went to the 74 Commonwealth Games. So I get that sort of drive from my father. I discovered first of all I was going to be a swimmer. Thought that would be a good thing for me to get into. Although when I got into the pool, I discovered I sank better than I actually swam. So that was a bit of a dead end. So then I got into shot put and javelin, and I'm still hold the record for the New Zealand record for shot put and discus. Not because I was any good, but because I was the only one in my class So yeah, I was competing against all these big tough burly boys, and he was a little skinny little blonde kid, and yeah, it never really worked out. So then I found Boccia, and I really took to Boccia like duck to water. I finally was successful in something and started to win, and that I felt pretty dang good about it. And like anyone, winning is pretty intoxicating. So I wanted more, and so yeah, I was because of my success, I was picked to go to the Australian champs, and we cleaned up the Aussies over there. We love kicking their bums. The Aussie New Zealand rivalry was pretty strong, and yeah, I went over there and cleaned up then. So that was sort of the first international tournament that I have been to, and it was a pretty cool environment to be successful in.
Yeah, it sounds like you've done lots. Like you've done, like you say, you've swimming, shot put, javelin, and then boccia. So it's like it's like a long journey, and I completely understand what you're saying, that you wanted to prove everyone wrong, that you could do these things, because like you say, like like school must have been hard, like you say, if people just laughing at you, and like you say, you've proved everyone wrong from getting the like your own record. So that is great to do that.
Yeah. I guess like people see me and hear my voice, and they naturally assume I have no intelligence because of the way I move and I talk. So yeah, I have to do a job interview every time I meet someone just to prove that I'm worthy of getting to know, which is a bit annoying, but I'm pretty used to it. In my 40s now, so that's sort of by the by, really.
Yeah, it's like you can't have, you got to always got to keep trying. Like, there's always goals to try and get to, all the time. But it is great because I've tried a little bit of boccia myself, and I think it is really fun. Haven't for a while though, but it is really good.
Oh yeah, it's a sexy sport, all right. It's one of the most sexiest sport there is. I'm being quite tongue in cheek now, because obviously boccia is played by majority is played by people with CP, and we aren't the glamorous bunch. You see the advertisement for runners that just lost a leg, or well, when I say just, it's like they are the sexy ones. They're the ones that get on the media, and I guess sort of boccia sort of falls down to the bottom because it's not pretty and not sexy. But I've been trying to bring the sexy back.
Yeah, it is good, and like it's as long as you enjoy it, it's the main thing.
Yeah. So I went to my overseas, and that qualified us to get to the world champs. It was in New York. I followed that with the World Cup, which was in Argentina. And we placed quite high in those competitions, and that what qualified us to go to the Paralympics. That the Sydney 2000 Paralympics probably before you were even born, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah, that if it's in the year 2000, I wouldn't. Yeah, you're right. I was born 2001. So
Oh my god!
I would have
Oh
been
my god!
the year after.
Oh my god! I feel so old right now. That is very depressing. But yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you probably could tell from the facts, I am telling you, I am 21. But funny enough, well, it's not funny enough. I was born actually when the Twins Towers were falling.
Oh
Before
wow.
I um well, a day or so after, I think, around that time period. Of course. But I was born around then, so not many people kind of forget that when I was born.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah. That's full on.
yeah, definitely. But it's good that you got to different countries and took place in tournaments. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it was an interesting thing to go overseas and see how other disabled are treated in their own country and really really understand the dynamics. New Zealand is doing pretty well. And you only realize that when you go overseas and you see the different ways people are treated. I think we're all right, really. And we went to Korea just before the Paralympics because they were the world champs, and we wanted to train with them to get a bit of experience before the Paralympics. They live and breathe and eat and sleep together in this. It looked like an institution to us, but it was where they trained, and it was very sobering to see. It was quite. They were seen to be a bit, institutionalized, and that sort of was a very sobering moment that we thought, oh, actually, we're doing all right. What we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. It's quite interesting just to go over to different places and see how they're doing it. Like how are they treating like disabled people? Because like it's great that like you guys in New Zealand are doing okay.
Yeah.
Like they
Well,
they treat people good.
yeah. At the same time that I was, going around the world, I was also doing a degree at the University of Waikato. So I was juggling study with my sport, and that took its toll really, especially in the lead up towards the Paralympics. It was quite a full-on experience, and yeah, I think I lost the enjoyment of Boccia because it was so difficult to just to juggle both.
Yeah, yeah. It is. There's. It's crazy like how many countries take part at the Paralympics, isn't it? Like loads. Yeah, you have loads of countries around the world. Like you say, Argentina, Japan, South Korea. Like it's crazy how many people take part. I always love watching it. But watching it is so different to compare you doing it. I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Watching it would have been heaps of fun, but yeah, being in the amongst it and I never will forget in the rest of my life going marching out to in the opening ceremony when they when they called out New Zealand, and the 100,000 people were cheering just for us, and it gave me goosebumps. I was quite emotional about that. It was the biggest, ballsiest thing I've ever done, and it was pretty damn awesome, really. Never forget that moment.
Yeah, it's good moments like that are really like memorable. And like it's good for like depending where it is in the world, because they always change locations, don't they, where it's always held and stuff. But it's good for having actually people from like from the different countries, like New Zealand for you, like and it's great having actually people go to the location and actually watch it live there.
Yeah, definitely. It was pretty magical, and it was, and the Aussies got right behind it, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good you got their support.
Yeah,
Yeah, because there's like I'm not sure how often like the Olympics or Paralympics are on. I'm not sure. Is it like every 4 years or something?
4 years.
Yeah.
4 years. And 10 days after the Olympics, same venue, same accommodation, same everything. So yeah, it's getting a lot better in terms of the recognize that we are elite athletes just like the Olympians. So it's getting a lot better. Back in the 2000, it was only just it was still sort of pat them on the heads, aren't they doing well kind of thing. That's pretty frustrating. But I think London, their Paralympics, I think they really brought the professional athlete out and really showed the world that we aren't just there to make up numbers. We are elite athletes, just like the Olympians.
Yeah, like I think it's like Paralympic athletes or people who are disabled can still take part. Like it's just for finding things that are more like accessible. Like because like within sports and everything, I think new sports need to be adapted. Because we always hear like the same ones, don't we?
Yeah.
I'm more maybe speaking maybe from uh, you could say the Paralympics or even at school when we was at school. I remembering like the same activities or sports every time. And I think there should be maybe new ones like we haven't done before. It'd be nice maybe even every Paralympics or every sports day that it's like I think it's great to keep the ones that are there, but maybe you should add a couple, maybe new ones, so other people but that could join in. Because when I had that meeting with Chris, Stacey, I asked everyone who was there who's there for people playing sports and people with disabled, making them more accessible. I said, is there any sports that are new that you would think they should come in? Or no, there's loads that I never heard of, and I was very surprised because I never heard of some, and I'd say I know a lot of sports, but it was great to hear some people who made it accessible. So, for example, tennis. People had a teacher there had a tennis club for disabled people, but especially with people who are deaf. So supporting people that are deaf as well, which I think is really great. Because there's such that like, but I think that'd be a good idea, like going forward for like Paralympic sport or any sport, just to add additional sports into the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just always cautious of adding it in for the sake of adding adding it in. I think you need to be mindful of why you're adding another sport, and
Yeah.
it's not just sort of tokenistic, because the Paralympics are the elite of the elite, and you don't just get there by wanting to play and going, oh, I'm going to go to the Olympics or the Paralympics. Doesn't work like that. You got to qualify. You got to be the best in the world. It's a tricky one adding new sports because there are already quite a higher number of the sports in the Paralympics just because of the classification.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different classifications that need to go through. It's an interesting one though.
Yeah. It's something that won't happen like quick. Like you don't expect that to happen just like that. But I think a start perhaps would be maybe putting them into like schools or sports days or something. I think
Absolutely.
and then see how that goes. See if organisations maybe see that, and then in the for the future perhaps add it into competitions or stuff like that. Because like when I remember at school, it was the same ones. Like you had your racing one, you had your, I think you had shot put. You had all the normal ones, but just to make it more accessible, because it was more like in sports during schools. It's more for maybe Olympic athletes, I would think, more than Paralympic athletes. From the way I looked at it. And back then, I don't think no one actually thought about that. Like that, there was no people. There's no, or maybe thought of the disabled ones. But yeah, I think that stuff like that just needs to be put in mind, and that's the reason why I say that. But because all well and good doing the same ones, but it's just making it as accessible for everyone. Which is, I think, the best way forward. Just start off at a slow speed at like sports days, events, or school PE or something like that, and then as the years go on, who knows, the process of putting a new sport into place, into a competition was going to take time, but it's a good way to go.
I think that why Boccia is so cool. Obviously I'm a tad biased, but Boccia, anyone can play it. Doesn't matter the level of impairment you have, it can be played by anyone, and and certainly in schools, when I used to work with your mates, Chris, we used Boccia quite a lot to introduce sort of a game that everyone could play regardless of their impairment. And even the non-disabled kids would get in amongst it, and they loved it, So that sort of I don't think it's necessarily good to reinvent the wheel because the wheel's already there. But utilizing what's already there and really being able to really sell it to people.
Yeah, I think Boccia is a great one. I think it needs to be done more. I think around the world. Because I enjoyed it the little time I played it. I thought it was really fun. But so we've been Stacey, with the process of like you said, to be in the Paralympic Games and stuff like that, you have to go through all these different like trials and stuff like that. Like, would you mind talking a little bit like that? How many trials are there to do to get to where you got to be in the top? Like, how's that all work?
Yeah, cool. So we had to go to 3 competitions around the world to qualify us as a team. So we had to get within 8th place of every competition. So we got 8th, 6th, and another in the World Champ and World Cup qualified us to get there. But that only qualified the team. It didn't qualify the individual. So back here in New Zealand, we still had trials of, making it into the Boccia team. So that was a very stressful time. How awful would it be if you did all that work internationally and then you weren't even selected to go to the Paralympics? So it was a very tough, very competitive moment just before the Paralympics to actually even make the team. So, and I was fortunate enough to be selected, and also they bestowed upon me the captain. So I was the only female. I was the youngest by about 20 years, and I was the captain. So it was a lot of pressure, but it was a good amount of pressure. Looking back now, it was a bit of hindsight. I was 22 at the time, and I was a baby. I didn't know much at all, so I just did what I knew. But I could have done a lot more if I was a little bit older and more mature. But that's just life, isn't it? So we placed 4th at the Paralympics, and that's the worst place to get in the world.
Yeah. It's I think the good thing is though that you can the best thing that you can say about it, no matter where you finish, is that you've actually taken part. I think that's the best. I would say that's the best thing, about just taking part in the Paralympics.
Yeah, I think when you get to that higher level, it's either a medal or nothing. You don't get a medal for participating. So when you get to that higher level, you lose that perspective of, oh wow, I done so well. I got here. It's not about that. It's about winning.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we missed out by. Can you see that?
Just a little bit.
That much.
Yeah.
About 2 millimeters, and I still am haunted by that last shot that I missed to win the game. So, but anyway, it's all water under the bridge now.
Yeah. I completely agree, because I know you said that you are like a competitive person, and I am too. Like, I'm very competitive. I don't like losing. Whenever I do sports and I'm on the team, I want to be on the winning end of the team. Like, I don't like to be on the losing end. Like, and I just get upset. Well, I get upset because you're that determined to do well in there. And I can understand like what you're saying. Like you get all that way and you don't get a medal for taking part. You get a medal for 1st, 2nd, or 3rd in the sport. Which, like, it was unfortunate that you did come just really smallly out, but yeah, it's the whole.
No one remembers 4th place, but the people that got in 4th place. So that's all right. That's how you go. And I guess after the Paralympics, I had make a choice whether to continue or pay the bills and get a job. So after I graduated, I moved up to Auckland, which is the biggest city in New Zealand, and I started my career. And a few years later, where I met Chris, we were both disability advocates for sport. I was lucky enough to do that job for the Halberg Trust for about 11 years. So I was able to take some of my experiences that I had learned through my sport career, and I could advocate for getting disabled people into sport. So it was a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, it's really great that you got to work with Chris. Because I've only had one meeting call with him, but he seems really great. Like from what stuff he does.
He's not that good. He learned a lot from me. So
He's learned that from you.
Yeah. So don't give him too much credit.
Yeah. It's all down to you.
Yeah, totally. I told him everything he knows.
Yeah. So you're the master.
Yeah, absolutely. You're gonna hate hearing this back, but yeah, totally.
Yeah. It is great because like I think within sport with disabled people, I think there's always going to be improvement that have to be made. Like you said, like 20 years ago, it wasn't as good probably as now. Like in 2000, but like now it's I a little bit better now than like 20 years ago. So always
Yeah.
improvements.
And hopefully it'll get better even 20 years from now. It'll be more media interest, more hope about it, and more respect, and that's what I think needs to happen. The respect thing is a big thing. Like back then when I said I was a Paralympian, people were like, oh yeah, whatever. But now people do value it a bit more than they used to, and hopefully in another 20 years it'll be on an equal footing with the Olympics.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's like more improvement to be made. But hopefully, as you say, 20 years from now, it'll be a little bit better than it is now. I always say that. And who knows, 20 years from now, there might be a few extra sports added. Who knows? Yeah, it is really interesting. So how like within Paralympic sport, like how many of the Paralympic games have you featured in? Has it just been the one, or have you able to feature
Yeah, so
just one?
like I did before, when I finished, when I came back from the Paralympics, I got back into university, got my degree, and moved up to Auckland and got a job because Boccia doesn't pay the bills. I was doing all that without funding, so it was either be broke and play Boccia and scrape money together, or start living in the real world like everyone else and get a job. So that's what I decided to do, and so Boccia had to take the back seat really. So that's why I've only went to one only. Yeah, but it's still
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty,
You're
pretty true.
you're right. You're right when you say like you can't just stay there if you're not getting paid. Like yeah, you have to. Yeah, it's inevitable to get a job like afterwards after like university and stuff like that. And yeah, it make perfect sense.
So yeah, my job with Helberg was such a awesome role because I could utilize what I experienced in the Paralympics and all the other competitions to say to little kids that are at school, I did it, so why not you? So I really think that was important to the role models. They're not really many dribbly wobblies, as I call myself, out there. So it's good for little kids to see that something can be made of their life if they put in the hard work.
Yeah, you've got to try and you have to like earn like you say like with respect like you were saying. I think respect is really important as well. Because you never know what happened in someone else's life, and I think it's really important not to judge people. Which like probably in the early 2000s, which happened a lot. Like people would judge people from their looks, from if they couldn't do something. And I think that's wrong. Like I think things like this have to be taught early on in life, like in school. Have lessons about it. Have lessons about like not everyone is different. We're not all going to be the same people. Um,
Yeah,
um, like in a way that could be easier in a way that we wouldn't have to. There wouldn't be any mean people if in a way, but yeah, like respect is a massive thing.
yeah, very idealistic idea that, but yeah, you never know. You gotta get the faith, don't you?
Yeah, 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 definitely. And it is hard because um, it is hard to talk about to other people because especially if people laugh and that they just don't understand. It's all about that understanding and actually people that um,
Yeah,
want to understand um,
yeah,
because I think understanding is really important for everyone because there's so much in like in the world for people to get taught and like, I think like we have our normal lessons in school, don't we? We have our normal lessons that we have, but I think there should be additional little things like I know you would have PE, maybe sport, but I think just other lessons about discussing um barriers around sport, about sport, but how people will just experience it differently and have their own way of doing it. And like I say, everyone is different around that.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So within like the sports world, because of course, Stacey, you've been in the sports world for a long time. um, like do you do you, what do you think kind of needs to change within disability sport?
Um, yeah, it needs to be a bit more professional. I think it's like in the local level I'm talking about. In the local level, it's been you know held together by just people loving it and wanting to do it, but not really knowing what the hell they're doing. So I guess yeah, you things only change when people are successful in what they're trying to put out there. So we need people to be more professional about what they're putting out there before, and then we can change attitudes because then people can see and value. Oh, okay, that might be worthwhile, or that's a cool sport to be in front of. But that's not going to change if we don't get it right on the local level.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. I think like you mentioned about people's attitudes. I think that is something like maybe especially for professionals, like how they go about it. Like they want to be pumped. They should be really wanting to do it. Like not just if people just standing around saying play dodgeball or just staring there in a lesson, just doing stuff like that. I think you need to be joined in as well, like the professionals. I think as much as because if they're getting involved, the students or the kids will want to get even more involved because it's all about being like a role model. I think.
Yeah, and it's about people feeling safe and people feeling like they can do it without being laughed at or ridiculed or whatever. So they want to feel like they're in a safe environment though they can do stuff. Because at school I was laughed at, and like, just if it wasn't for my parents making me get up and do it again and do it again, I would have given up, because who wants to be laughed at all the time? Who wants to be losing all the time? So I think they're quite important to get right.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because there's different types of laughing, isn't there? Like there's laughing just laughing at you, and there's laughing in like a sports sense where you might be playing a match against someone or something, and the other team are laughing, and you may feel just laughing at you around, like saying that like they've won, and you've lost, like that kind of sense, which kind of turned into bullying. I think it really does, like within that, which that's the hardest thing to actually get help, like get support with, because bullying is the very thing around. Like people with bullies are very clever in a sense where they're really hidden, and like professionals, like we're talking about professionals. I think professionals within that science sense should notice it more. I think because it's very discreet how those things go unnoticed.
Yeah, well, I would believe it was part of life, right? And you just suck it up, get over it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
you gotta have a pretty strong inner will to do it, but it can be done.
yeah. You've just got to have a good mindset, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, a good mindset so you can get past it. Because and then and then prove everyone wrong. I think like you said and you've done, Stacey, like proving wrong that you've gone to the Olympics and you've done, like you've told everyone, tell the world.
yeah, definitely. That was only one component of my life that I'm proud of. I've held down a full-time job for 16 years. I made made some real profound changes in my workplace, and hopefully changed people's attitudes, and hopefully given a bit of people a bit of idea that don't judge a book by its cover. My cover ain't that pretty, but it's a good read if you open it up. So it just having to get over that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love that, Stacey, because definitely, it's great that change have been made within your workplace, because it's great they're adapting to things like just to support you and make things easier. Because I think that's really good. I think within loads of the workplaces, I think that need to do that to support people. Because when I was actually at a workplace, I got the support I needed from actually telling my story. So it's great that people actually want to support you and they want to help to make it easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, there's so much that we could talk about within Paralympics and sports, because there's so many sports out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think like the last couple of things, Stacey, because we've had a lovely talk about, like, it's been great hearing about like the Paralympics, like going to all sorts of different countries to do all that kind of stuff, which is crazy. Like it must have been a good holiday, I think.
No, it wasn't a holiday. It was a pretty hard work actually. No
Yeah,
holiday there.
yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame because if you're saying you're going to places around the world, it's a shame that you can't just have a little pit stop.
No, yeah, I been to the country around the world, but I've only seen the inside of a big rec centre, so of a big sports facility. So that's all I know of Argentina and Portugal and anywhere else I've been. It's yeah, not really it's a sightseeing trip.
Oh, wow. Well, like it's good experience, I guess, though, as a whole. Just going to those different countries like Argentina
Yeah,
or places like that. And
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
unfortunately, I didn't get to the UK. So yeah, but fun about it. I did was a really cool. He was the world champion back in the day. The UK dude. And I was in awe of him, and his name had just escaped me, but he was an awesome boccia player, and yeah, he was one of my role models. I wanted to be like him when I grew up. Didn't
yeah.
quite make it.
Oh, well, it's a shame that you can go to UK, but it's good that you went all to other places that you went to, like the Argentinas, the all the other countries. And actually, Argentina just won the last World Cup in football. So that is great that you went to Argentina when you did.
Yeah, definitely. That was a cool country. They are beautiful people.
Yeah, that's great. Last few things, Stacey. Is there any advice that maybe you would give to maybe other people who maybe take part in disabled sport or anything from
Yeah,
your experience?
yeah, cool. I would say just never give up. You know, yeah, you're going to face obstacles. You're going to face people saying no or laughing or whatever. But just have a bit of inner strength and just don't give up. Just remember, who you are, and that if you want to do something, you can. A little blonde little girl from a town called Kati, went to the went to the Paralympics. At 5 years old, I never thought I could do that, but just with a bit of perseverance and a lot of bloody hard work, yeah, I made it possible. So, and the same with university, the same with driving, the same with working a full-time job. If you want it bad enough, you will make it happen. But you can't make it happen when you're a victim or you're all about poor you. You just gotta, the big bad world is not made for us, but we had to make it for us. We had to make it good, and the only way is just keep on persevering, and you'll get there in the end if you're strong enough.
Yeah, I completely agree. I couldn't agree more there, Stacey, because I think everything you said that's spot on for sure. And if anyone would like to maybe get in touch with you or anything, like who maybe have a similar experience or are disabled in sport as well, like where would they like be able to contact you, Stacey?
I can check out my email address on this podcast or
Yeah.
whatever, and I'd be more than happy. I'm not the biggest I'm not that good on email, but if we line up the chat like this, I'm happy to help anyone that wants a bit of advice. Also, I've written a book. It's called The Ups and Downs of the Dribbly Wobbly. So I tell a lot of my stories in that book about childhood to the Paralympics, and everything in between. So it's a really good book to like read if you're a parent, a new parent of a disabled kid or the kid itself. So yeah.
Yeah, you'll definitely have to send me that, Stacey, or
But you gotta buy it.
Yeah. You have to send me it so I can get a copy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great to have a look. But thanks to you, Stacey. It's been really fun speaking to you. About your journey, like with Paralympic sports and stuff things that you've achieved there. So it's been really great. To hear all about that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And thanks to anyone who's watching or listening today. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. Because it's been a really good episode, just chilling with Stacey. We went with the flow, and we talked about like, a great sport like Boccia, and like all the wonderful stuff women's sports and how much it's going to change. Well, hopefully it's going to change and get better as the years go on. But thank you everyone who's listening and watching, and thank you to Stacey. I hope you have a nice day in New Zealand, because I think it's in the morning for you. So the time difference varies from us. So
yeah, it's lunch time now. So yeah, gonna go have my lunch.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go have your lunch. And I'm gonna go. So thank you, Stacey. I'm glad you've enjoyed it, and have a nice day.
So, see ya.